The word of the day is contagion. Now, while we obviously had the Luna collapse and things seem to return well, there's only so much pain you can take and so much resistance you can feel before things start to break. And unfortunately, that is what's happening in the crypto industry right now. But we are not the only ones. Obviously, the stock market also feeling the pain of a higher inflation print than expected on Friday. Liquidity issues being removed and fears that the Fed will raise 0.75 instead of 0.5 this week. Good times, right? What a time to be alive. But I will say, if there's one person that I've had consistently on this show over and over again who talked about the potential of a 30% stock market drawdown, of markets continuing and not starting to call bottoms, it is, of course, Mike McGlone from Bloomberg, who is with us today and will help us make sense of everything that's going on. Needless to say, you guys don't want to miss this today. Let's go.
Let's go.
What is up, everybody? I'm Scott Melker, also known as the Wolf of All Streets. Before we get started, please subscribe to the channel and, I don't know, hang your head in shame and pain on the like button. I don't know. Don't even hit it. Maybe you don't like this at all. So yeah, guys, obviously I was not here Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. We had no live stream. So it's been almost a week since I've been here, and what a week it has been. Now we can all talk about the downside, of course, which is price, and I would argue not necessarily value of a lot of the assets that we are discussing here. But I personally had a very inspired few days, recorded almost 40 podcasts in 2.5 days at Consensus, including senators. Senator Gillibrand, I actually somehow scored the first interview with her post the infrastructure. I'm thinking about Biden. Post the crypto regulation framework bill that her and Cynthia Lummis presented. That went up yesterday. If you guys get the opportunity to listen to that, I think you'll see that we've upped our quality tremendously in the production, which is my intention, to keep going and pushing harder through this bear market, winter, whatever you want to call it. And I can say that, interestingly, the sentiment at Consensus was very bearish. I didn't speak with a single person whose opinion was, yeah, we're about to come right out of this and bull market soon. Even, I spoke with the Stacy from Algorand, Ilya from Near, all the layer one people, Mance from Hedera. All of them were like, well, as we enter this crypto winter and bear market, it's a really good time to build. So I can tell you, not much optimism about price in the short term. But guys, you don't want to hear me talk. I'm going to bring on my good friend, Mike McGlone, to help us make sense of some of this. Mike, looking good today in the tie. How are you, buddy?
Hey, Scott. Well, it's one thing we know in this space, not to trust anybody wearing a tie. I apologize, but trying to make it look like I was doing some TV and just kind of talking about cryptos, trying to act like I know something.
I'm going to be honest. Maybe there's an unpopular opinion, but it seems like it's time that crypto admits we need the guys in the ties, and that maybe the t-shirts and hackers and shadowy super coders or whatever they call this, maybe we're breaking things, and a lot of people are paying for it.
Well, it's one thing I love about this space is, like, I've been told in cryptos I'm too old, and I've been told in crude oil I'm too young. It's kind of funny. And commodities, but it's the difference between different type of people. I'm a markets guy. To me, markets are all the same, and they're all about human nature, and human nature will never change. And what you're seeing happen on the screen is history in the making. You just don't always realize when it's happening. Now, obviously, I'm giving only my views, which is the cool thing about where I work at Bloomberg. Now, I've been on the street. I started my first day in the trading business was in 1988. And I just learned a little lesson is I have completely no bias at Bloomberg, which is why we're speaking, versus you get a lot of crypto people on, yeah, they're bullish crypto. You got gold people on, yeah, they're bullish gold. You got equity people on, you're bullish equities. I'm completely neutral. What I see here is the makings of something that was kind of similar to 1999 in the stock market, 1929, 2008. And we're all going to look back and say, Shiba Inu? What was that other than a speculation machine? And then you and I know I've moved to Miami recently. We're both in Florida, and I've noticed from my connections in the Midwest farmland went up the same as as condos in Miami and is the same as the stock market. And the key thing about this whole thing is cryptos are the highest beta. We're leading everything. And now, since we're the highest beta, we're leading things on the way back down.
Yeah, not a great feeling. So listen, you have repeatedly come on here and said, even when we were down 5-10% in markets, not talking crypto specifically, saying we have the recipe here, obviously, for 25%, 30%, 35% on the S&P, as you just alluded to, those other dates. Although I hate hearing 1929 casually thrown in there with the rest of them, by the way, because that indicates a Great Depression rather than a Great Recession, which I think is totally possible here, depending on how things go. Do you still think that it's a winter, but not the end of times, and that we get that 30%-ish drawdown, things start to maybe mellow out, and eventually it returns again? Or do you think that the amount of liquidity we're seeing withdrawn from the market, inflation not being fixed, I mean, there's some big problems here?
Exactly. The latter of the big problems is key. My colleague, Gina Martin Adams, on our morning call pointed out this is one of the most significant events for a bear market in equities. Only main thing she mentions because that Fed put's gone, and that's what's changed. And that was what went wrong. And I hate to mention 1920, and so let's not kill the messenger, just to point out obvious observations that I make and the potential reversion we have. That's a good example because that's the last time in history that we had the average human being in this country as similarly exposed to the price of the stock market. It's not profound. It's just a fact. The thing is, it's so correlated now, but the way I see it is now that, the thing, and the key thing that Anthony Scaramucci points out, I loved meeting him at the SOLVE conference, was own your mistakes. I completely got wrong this massive inflationary period, but now because of what happened in crude oil, but now we've got to the extreme that everybody just says inflation's so entrenched. The key thing I think we're going to see is significant enduring deflation. It's always what happens when markets go up too much, assets go up too much, and simply revert. So I'll give you an example. 1987, the stock market crash. When people hear that date, particularly when you've been in markets as long as I have, you think, oh, the stock market crashed. But the S&P ended up that year up 2%. It was nothing on the big picture. It just went up too far. So what you're seeing right now is, I think, cryptos led the way of this massive, biggest speculative excess in our lifetimes. And now we're just taking it away. And the thing is, the Fed has to remain vigilant against inflation until it's signed that it's gone. But the best way to retake the Fed out of the picture, and they will be tightening rates this way, is for a high velocity decline in the stock market, number one. And that's not only from my lessons being a bond trader and being working for primary dealers, which their job is to watch the Fed since the 80s, but it's also for reading Ben Bernanke's book, the Courage to Act. It's the key thing they're watching. But we all know it's a fact. Let's say the stock market's only down 2%. That's not a big deal. Today, it's down 20% in the year. Not a big deal. But the fact that the Fed's still pointing out they're going to hike rates because of lagging inflation, which means a year from now that what we're going to be talking about, in my view, is significant deflation, recession, and the fact is the Fed just can't throw the liquidity in the market like it used to. So from a crypto standpoint, I think that's going to be very good for Bitcoin and Ethereum. The rest of the space, you guys, know it better than I do. There's just so many, we're better than they are, and there's only 19,000, and I get confused. But particularly Bitcoin, because let's look at today, and I'll get off this real quick and get on to wherever you want to go next. Today, as we're speaking, Bitcoin on the day from Friday is down about 20%. But gold is down about 2%. On a volatility weighted basis, Bitcoin should be down about 50%. Well, it's close. That's only 2 times. It's actually, Bitcoin typically trades about 5 times the volatility of gold. So going ahead from this, it's going to be significantly deflationary. Bitcoin's going to settle in. I was hoping it'd hold 30,000. Now it's pretty going to most likely hold 20,000. And I still expect maybe a couple, 3, 4 years from now, it's going to head right back to 100,000, but in a deflationary environment, and not with massive risk on speculation and assets. Because here's one thing I'll leave you with is what we just proved to ourselves in terms of history. The textbooks are going to say we will never stimulate the economy this much ever again, where we throw massive money on it because you get too much inflation. So that's what you're going to hear, like the after the Weimar Republic in Germany. You always heard, we have to be vigilant against inflation. Well, the Fed's not going to just be able to ease anytime soon. once we get this big correction, because we just learned a lesson what happens when you ease too much.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. I think the bigger problem here for crypto right now, as I sort of alluded to in the intro, is that we're sort of seeing these repeated self-inflicted wounds from the platforms that we believed were safe or trusted most. I mean, talk about getting things wrong. I mean, I've been a supporter of creating, and I'm not saying this is wrong in conception, but sure, creating a better parallel financial system for the underbanked and unbanked. Well, that's great until it breaks and you can't withdraw your money.
Yeah, Celsius today. Well, the whole theme I had about crypto savings in Celsius, and Alex Mashinsky, who's been a big cheerleader, was they're either going to fail or they're going to be arbed out. Now, until just recently, I thought it was more likely to be arbed out. Now we're seeing the failure, particularly Terra Luna, the stablecoin, which was just silly stupid. Now, here's what I got wrong. I started digging into that, and I believe things I heard from Michael Saylor and Mike Novogratz that this was pretty legitimate. I started digging in it too late, but the things I saw in Shiba Inu and Doge were just so silly stupid. I'm thinking, I'm going to tell my grandkids about this. Here's something that's silly stupid too, is the fact that when you split this price of a stock, it actually, the value goes up. Well, we're going to look back and say, well, that was pretty silly stupid. So it's everything. It's not just cryptos. It's just this right. Is the rocket fuel sector.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I think we all understood Doge, which has been around forever. Shiba Inu, then whatever Inus came, on the tail end of that, was nonsense. And I mean, I was one of the first ones. My aunt, who knows nothing about crypto, called me at the top of Doge when he was going on Saturday Night Live and said, I heard he's going to pump Doge on Saturday Night Live. I don't even know why she heard of it. And I said, oh my God, do not buy this under any circumstances. But sure. So I thought that was the top. But I also thought that maybe we were done rinsing that speculation out of the system. Right. So this is going way lower than I would have expected if we're talking about, I think we were already 2 months ago looking back at that as a joke, or 6 months ago.
Well, that's how markets usually go. They go too far either ways. But either way, I'm glad you mentioned consensus, because I have never had so many people request, are you going to consensus? Can you go consensus? And I wanted to say politely not, but why should I waste my time? This is a pretty significant bear market. Being in Miami, I've been to so many of these. Yes, it's such a great space sector. I wanted to go to an ag conference because that's where I'm bullish. I'm more bullish corn than and not crude oil and that crude oil anymore than and I just wanted to. But it's the key thing, the best thing for us to learn. And I like to still consider myself young. I'm almost 60, but to me, it's best. The old saying is that the first time you're in the casino, it's better to lose money. And if you're young, you made a lot of money in cryptos, and you didn't take profits, okay. It's okay to give that back, because look at your future of investing. You'll be much better and much more astute, and you'll think, okay, I might play around in these, some of these silly coins, but the stability and the upside, I still believe, is in Bitcoin and Ethereum. It's just, this might take a while. And I remember saying this in 2000, 2001, and then we got Amazon and we got Apple. It just took a while. This is the same thing. But let's say, looking forward from here, right now, the key thing for this year is, okay, as we speak, the official people say, oh, we just hit that bear market spot in the S&P 500. Now, here's the key thing about the S&P 500. There is no more significant indicator of risk on or risk off on the planet real time than the S&P 500. It's just the way it is. It's the most significant index on the planet. And the fact that it's down 20%, if it goes down another 20%, which is very likely this year, we will be in a severe deflationary period. It's just so far looking ahead. Like the CPI numbers and the PPI that printed last week and PPI this, they're very lagging. Everything's going down. It's just a matter of time, but it's not that profound because it's way overdue. Now, I had similar inklings in 1999. I was too early. In 2007, I was too early. Way too early this time. But what we just did historically will never be repeated. First, we've had this, the COVID thing. We've had all this massive stuff going in cryptos, but then the money we threw at it. So to me, that's the macro. And that's why I look at some of these conferences. They don't matter right now. All you have to do is when you wake up in the morning and that S&P 500 is down 2%, that's all that matters in terms of anybody's running money on the planet.
Right. I will say consensus, it was really interesting because the first day was crowded. And the second day, which is, I'm not going to say it was coordinated with the price action, but we had a lot of guests who were canceling because they were just leaving early because they were over it. Everybody basically left consensus early, and the second day was half full. It was really interesting. It was like, I think what you just described is correct. Like, you can only cheerlead so much when you know the reality that's surrounding it. And I'm not saying that. I think all these platforms are incredible. I think all these projects are incredible. I think that many of them will rise from the ashes at some point. But like, it's really hard at this point to just hear bullish, 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 bullish.
And that's a key thing I've noticed from the space and from Salt. You dig into the mature people building businesses and building this market, is they are realistically welcoming bear markets. They're not out for it. And a lot of people like are not out for just the. I mean, it's great to make money, but it's to build this new financial structure, which is what investors need to think about. So I just look at it going forward. I'm not in any, I think we're still in sell the rips mode. This is a great trading environment. That's the key thing about Bitcoin and Ethereum. They've been just awesome for the traders. And that's the environment I came from. You buy low, you sell high, you square up, and you just look at it the next day. But it gives you that flexibility. The key thing I want to mention about Bitcoin is that is unprecedented. We knew what's happening was going to happen right now in terms of the macro. I mean, the money that real matters, 100 trillion running equities and almost 200 trillion in bonds. We knew that Saturday morning, because we saw it happening in Bitcoin. And that to me is unprecedented. You have that kind of price discovery, liquid, in an asset that's no one else's liability, that has declined in supply, increasing adoption. That's the macro big picture. But right now, the asset that went up the most in history of every asset in mankind has to go down when the Fed's taking away the punch bowl. And that's what we're doing. The Fed's taking away the punch bowl. They're tightening despite the fact that Vauld will go down, which means this is the lose-lose. But at some point, this is going to be the leading indicator. I think I published this morning. The assets I think that come out ahead of this, which should be bottoming really soon, is Treasury bonds. Now they're 3.3% yield. Now I've been way too early, been wrong, but at some point I think they're going to drop down below 2%. Fed fund tightening is expectations. Right now we're priced for, in the next year, the way you look at for the Fed to tighten, we're looking at them tightening for another 230 or so basis points, which I think is going to only be 100. And then gold's in there, and gold's getting hammered today, and Bitcoin. Bitcoin's at the highest beta. So yeah, it's going to go down the most. But when it comes out, when gold's going up maybe 50%, which it's overdue for, Bitcoin goes up 5x.
I mean, we saw it in March 2020, right? Bottom first, but then go up 17 times while everything else doubles. I mean, it makes sense. This is where you want to be when it reverses. It's just hard to figure out when that's going to be. I know you got to go. I just want to say one last thing. Piece of advice for people who have not been here before, who are experiencing their first drawdown, who are having the emotions, who are, feeling like they've lost everything and that there's no hope. What would you just say to those people?
Well, if you're 40 or under, you should be saying, thank you for the lesson. I'm glad I'm going to learn this. My discipline is going to be stellar. And in the future, I'm going to do very well. I'm going to tell my grandkids about this, how I learned the lessons of markets, of greed and speculation. And then I went back and I invested in value. I put it away and I made a lot of money over time. But that story might take at least 5 years to play out, at least in this case. The key thing I've been watching very closely, I'll mention this, is people have been asking, why are you kind of less focused on cryptos? Because the number one asset that matters this year is the spike in crude oil. And that's going to come back. It always has. That's a lesson I learned in 1979. I tell you that now, when we have time, is I was a gas jockey. But this is the lesson. And I hope you're not losing too much money, but buy value, buy quality, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and then everywhere else that Scott says might work out okay. Because I'm still trying to learn all these things that are Ethereum are good competition for Ethereum.
The best part is that people are going, what if you're over 40?
Well, so me too. I am too. And I'm not allowed to invest too much, but I'm losing on similar assets. But yeah, you got to just look at this as way we come out of this. I fully expect is just think how markets usually work is they work in cycles, and the cycle we just had in terms of risk assets and condos and land and everything was all related to massive money pump and money supply. That's coming back. What we're going to have is an enduring period, but these things are opportunity for people who are. So if you lost money, just trying to come back. This is just opportunities for people to pick up cheap assets. Good solid assets when they get cheap.
Absolutely appreciate it, Mike. Thank you so much for giving me 5 minutes extra of your time. Always appreciate it. And I hope you'll keep coming back and giving us the honest appraisal of the situation as opposed to buy everything it's going up.
It's always good talking to you, Scott. I really appreciate catching up and looking forward to the next time.
Thanks, Mike.
Cheers.
What a legend, right? Oh, I just realized my camera is going to bug me. It's going to drive me nuts if it's not such a better. Oh, I did it. Figured it out. All right. That was quick. Always nice to have an honest appraisal, as I said, of the situation and a gauge of what's happening in the macro, because a lot of us have gotten a lot of things wrong, obviously myself included. There was a time when it didn't feel like macro mattered as much in crypto, that it was sort of trading in a vacuum. Obviously, that was not the case. We were just caught up in the fact that it was going up and it was easy to say, oh, we're different, right? Well, very clearly right now, when the world goes risk off, Bitcoin is not immune to it. But I will reiterate what Mike said. I've said it 1,000 times. When this bottoms, these are the asset classes that you absolutely want to be in for the highest upside. And so now is definitely not the time to quit. So guys, I know there's one thing that everyone wants to talk about. I don't want to talk about it. I talked about it in the newsletter. I had to basically rewrite the entire newsletter. I woke up this morning 6:30. I usually get up at 4:30. I woke up at 6:30 this morning, exhausted from consensus. Couldn't believe I slept that long. So, of course, the newsletter was delayed. I had written something over the weekend, and I had to scrap it because Celsius turned off their withdrawals, right? And so we have this very interesting situation here in my mind that I'm trying to parse. And as I said in the newsletter, I can only comment on what we know, and I will not speculate on what we don't know, because I think that largely there's been a lot of irresponsible reporting that has probably contributed massively to what's happened, right? Because initially, I believe there was, I'm not going to say in a conspiracy sort of manner, but there was clearly a coordinated attack on Celsius and their business model. A lot of people who disliked Mashinsky, and I think that they stirred up a whole lot of problems that have then snowballed and created an actual problem, which is clearly a liquidity crisis at Celsius. In this space, it's extremely hard for all of us, even if you're in it 24/7, 365, to parse what is FUD and what is real, right? And so, since we do not have all of the facts, it is very hard to comment on it. All we do know is that Celsius has disallowed withdrawals from their platform and moving, I believe, between different wallets on the platform. They said it's to stabilize liquidity, not a term you want to hear. I did read the letter that they sent. I shared it in the newsletter this morning. Very vague. Not much clarity. So what I did immediately, of course, was I hit up every other platform I knew. I hit up my friends at Voyager, hit up my friends at Vauld, hit up my friends, all of them. Of course, Vauld is the sponsor here. Now, listen, I tend to be very trusting. I will say this. I cannot speak for other platforms, whatever. Every single platform has a different model for how they offer yield, what kind of loans they're offering, etc. Saying that they'll all fail because Celsius failed is inaccurate. It's inaccurate, right? So I would not say that listen, you have to do what you need to do to manage risk. You need to have enough liquidity. You should never have all of your money on any of these platforms. I've said that 1,000 times, spread across all of them. Have money in a bank account. You didn't learn from Luna when people lost everything because they thought 20% was a safe yield. Yeah. I do think most of these platforms are safe, but obviously Celsius is a huge problem. And to me, I sort of alluded to it when talking to Mike just now. It was one thing when everything was going down and it's kind of shitty and we all feel bad. It's another thing to watch our trusted platforms start to capitulate and fail and break, right? It's another thing, because we're doing this to ourselves, and we're supposed to be building a better financial system than the one that exists. Our banks are supposed to be better than their banks, right? Our platforms are supposed to be better. Our yields are supposed to be better. Our transactions are supposed to be faster, and they are. But the problem is, in crypto right now, this will not be a problem long term. This is the nature of a nascent market when you're building things and they're breaking, but they're breaking with people's money. This isn't like a video game stops working. And the problem is that we're proving that we weren't much better at building these things. That, I will be very clear, none of this applies to Bitcoin at all as an investment or an asset. You're going to see a hell of a lot of people becoming Bitcoin maximalists. right? But if we can't build things that are better, then we can't really make the case that people should be parking their money all over the crypto space. There are platforms that are better. We're going to see which ones are. We're going to see which ones are. But that's just a fact. That's just a fact, right? I mean, Luna was a fucking disaster. I'm still pissed off about Luna. I'm yet to pass judgment on Celsius. I don't know what's happening there, right? See a lot of cases on both sides. I have no idea what's happening there. But I do know that if the worst case scenario is the case, then as I joked to Mike, maybe we need the Thai guys. Sadly, maybe we need regulators to come in and tell us what's safe because we are breaking everything. And it sucks. It's one thing to be like, oh, inflation. We're risk off, guys. It's inflation because inflation, money printing, hedging. None of that shit matters if you have all your money parked on a platform and the CEO walks up and shoots you in the face and takes all your money. It's ridiculous. Sick of watching all this shit break because you know what? Like, not only does it suck, like I'm just the rest of like the rest of you guys. My crypto portfolio is down 85%. Not a very good hedge against 8.5% inflation. I can totally accept losses. Like if I say hold, I'm not going to not hold. Right? I have a lot of you guys doing the same. Like, but it's another thing to watch the like trusted platforms that we all believed in and cheered on be the ones that are responsible for our losses. Our own fault, but it is what it is, right? But here, Nexo proposed to buy Celsius out. So I guess all of them aren't insolvent. Nexo must have a lot of fucking money if they can go and buy Celsius right now. Of course, Celsius said no. Seeing you guys have some amazing comments. How will you feel when ETH breaks because of the merge? I don't know. I will tell you that I spoke to the smartest minds in cryptography and crypto, and there's nobody who's dug deep on this that believes that the merge is going to fail, like top to bottom. And even people who would probably benefit from it. I talked to Stacy Warden from Algo, Mance from Hedera, CEO of Near, like literally the founders of basically every layer one protocol, and everyone believes that the merge is bullish and a positive thing, that it will happen. Right? So got my funds in Nexo. Glad to see they're doing well. Yeah, this would be a great poll. I will do that later on Twitter. So yeah, they offered to buy them out. And obviously Celsius probably gave them the big finger. I don't know. I don't think Celsius, listen, I don't know much about him. I've talked to Mashinsky quite a few times. I don't think he's the type to capitulate here. Had a very successful career. And listen, here's the shit that gets me. It's kind of like remembering old elections. Like where you watch people, maybe less educated people, and they get like caught up massively in the dogma of their party, right? And they're like, I remember this specifically, and this is not a partisan thing, but I remembered very specifically with Obamacare. It's not called Obamacare, right? And then seeing people who were like voted aggressively against Obama, which is fine, not understanding that they were voting against their own self-interest and were like literally fucking their own health insurance. Or then they needed health insurance afterwards and they're like, yeah, I mean, that shit's a scam. And people were like, that's literally your insurance. It's not actually called Obamacare, right? Like people just against their self-interest. So what the hell does that have to do with crypto? If you are cheering for the death of Luna and cheering for the death of Celsius and hoping that because Celsius goes down, that means that BlockFi will fail and maybe Nexo will fail, you are cheering against your own self-interest. You will lose your money because of the contagion. Don't be an asshole. There's going to be like 7 of us left here, and we need to be cheering each other on. We need to all work together and hope that we can offer real solutions for real people. You get so caught up in being a part of the crypto industry that you forget that it's actually real people who need this shit to work. Like wherever you are in the world, if you don't have a bank account, you're unbanked and you're underbanked and you don't have very much money, and your hedge, your real life exit or lifeline for this system, because you don't have access, is to put your money in one of these because it mimics a bank. Those people are getting fucked. And you're cheering for them to lose their money because you don't like the CEO. Right? And all you're going to do is piss everyone off, and then nobody's going to like us. We're good at that. You know, I went through this with the Luna thing. You guys have seen me. I showed up today. I finished writing the newsletter 20 minutes ago. I have all this news and charts lined up. Charts don't fucking matter. A line on a chart is stopping a platform from dying. And I would really, and this is when like the real negativity comes out, right? Last week, a dying nobody, right, comes out on Twitter, has 30,000 followers in a minute, that we're going to release every Telegram chat about the bad behavior in this industry. Okay, if everybody gets exposed and that shit happens and whatever, nobody wants their private conversations leaked regardless, like, right? That's just bad. What got me was how many people wanted it to be true, which maybe it is. I don't know. I don't think so. Wanted it to be true and want to see everything burn and want to see everybody exposed and everybody die and everybody. Yeah. I see someone, I'm cheering you on, but can you unblock me on Twitter? Tell me your Twitter, I'll unblock you. Go do it right now. What's your Twitter name? Right? Why do we want to cheer for everything to fucking fail? It's against your own self-interest. Anyways, that's all I got for you on that. I'm waiting for you to tell me your Twitter so I can unblock you, Kev. I don't even know who's blocked over there anymore, man. Yeah. I don't see it, so we're going to keep going on. So listen, like, I don't know. Let's all come together and actually try to be positive and hope that, hey, even if Celsius was being irresponsible, let's hope they fix it. Let's not hope it dies and that people's money goes with it so that you can say, I told you so. That's all I see. I told you so. I've been telling everyone. You know, like what you should say, holy shit, they're failing. It's breaking. How do we fix it so that people don't lose all their money? I don't know. That seems like a very reasonable approach. Reasonable approach. Moving on to the news. Crypto market cap falls below 1 trillion for first time since early 2021. Yeah, I think everyone knows shit's going down. Yeah. Shit's going down right now. Okay, cool. That's the news. I'm going to look. I don't even have the news pulled up, do I? What? Add to stream. There we go. Yeah, crypto market falls down. Bitcoin lost 13% of its value in the past 24 hours. Bad, bad, bad news. Bad, bad, bad. Let's look at the charts. Oh, here's my monthly channel chart. This is fun. Remember when we broke this? Every time it hit the bottom, went to the top, to the bottom, to the top. Every time it flipped that middle line. It had flipped it. I said, oh, so obviously we're going to like $200,000, right? Because we flipped it. It's become support. And no. And then when it went below that, I said, well, you know, it can dance around it. No big deal. Well, now it looks like we might actually be going to the bottom of that channel around 20,000, depending on what we get there, 18, 19, 20,000. That's a 10, 15% below. Crazy. 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 Right? But interestingly, Plan B pointed this out. We are now, just to give you some context, if you want to know how fucking bad this is. This is monthly RSI since the beginning of, since October 12th, really the beginning of actual crypto trading. All right. Here's the lowest it was ever. It's the lowest it ever was. Month hasn't closed. This is not a fact. This is the lowest right now at this moment that RSI has ever been. By the way, all this negativity I'm talking about, like I'm talking about the platforms. I think Bitcoin long-term is a glaring buy right here. I'm not giving you financial advice. Do whatever the hell you want to do. But like, yeah, like Mike said, I think we're going to be much, much higher. You seem a little tense. You're good, bro. Hey, man, I'm a guy too. I get to see my net worth evaporate and to have my convictions shaken and to see things that I supported failing. Doesn't feel great. for any of us. I'm just like you guys. The only difference is I'm not going to fucking give up. I'm going to be here. Yeah, I'm not in a great mood today. Are you? Right? Lowest RSI has ever been right there. Take a look at the weekly. We are oversold on the weekly. That's happened once. Oh, no. Nope, just chart didn't load. Twice. Mount Gox, MT Gox. And December 2018, depths of the crypto winter. That's it. And this closed oversold because we're here, and this was right here was the close. It touched oversold. Historic pain here. Yeah. Honest about the emotional side. It's hard to not be affected if you give a shit. I can be unemotional about my trades. You lose a trade. But this is the point where we have to deal with our conviction in things being shaken. Not my conviction in Bitcoin, but your conviction in these platforms and the superior systems we were building. We were wrong. Our shit's fucked up. Right? Fucked up. Doesn't mean we won't build back better, bro. That's 4 Bs instead of 3 Bs. Build back better. Here we are. Oversold on the weekly. 200 EMA. Smoked. Smoked. Have we ever closed a candle below it? Not in history ever of all time, ever. Closed the last week just below it. And now this week, obviously, this weekly candle right here represents 15 hours of price action. Woo! Bad. Anyways, but here's the line. Oh, we're going to do the V-line thing. That's stupid. 200 MA, not exponential moving average, has been the bottom of every bear market. Doesn't mean it will be again, at least for support, right? This one went slightly below. And that's 22,000 with the impending line, the top of the 2017 bull market at 19,666, right around 20,000, right? Here's what you should do. Listen, I don't know what you should do. I know that you shouldn't panic, and that if you have dry powder, this is probably not a bad time if you have a 10-year time horizon to buy shit. You continue to do what you were doing. You dollar cost average, you don't panic, you remain calm, you work your plan out. But like, it's like no fucking way we're going back to the 2017 high, right? I mean, 20,000 right there. Then Ethereum says, hold my beer. 2018, January, 1420. We're now at 1217. I bought some Ethereum there. It's the biggest support, you know, because lines really matter when the world's burning down. That's sarcasm. I actually am hesitant to even show charts at this point. Kev, wait, did you send your Twitter name so I can unblock you? I don't see it. I don't really have you blocked, do I? Seems like you're talking. Oh, I don't see it. I'm scrolling back everywhere. Don't want to have you blocked. You're a kind soul. Anyways, wife and kids are fine. Everybody's good, man. Life is good. Life is good. Markets are bad. But yeah, broke right through. So this is what Bitcoin would look like if effectively at 20,000 if it breaks below. Right? So just keep it. I'm not saying 20,000 won't be massive support on Bitcoin, but like I thought it, 2018 highs should be massive support on Ethereum. Not the case right now. Haven't even looked at other markets. I just opened them. That's the SPY. So the S&P is dumping to hell shit. And I can only imagine, I saw a tweet that said MicroStrategy and Coinbase down bigly. MicroStrategy stock basically back to the price where they bought Bitcoin. Down massively today. 200 down to 150. Oh, dang. 25% over the weekend. Coinbase closed at 58, opened at 46. Wow. People, I saw someone asking, yes, I still have Coinbase stock and have no intention of changing that. Scott, where do you stand on ETH for Sol debate? Do you think merge will fix ETH's problems? Yeah, I think it's going to fix a lot of the problems. But what do I know, man? Can you do a future interview with Saylor? Sure, I'll get him on. We've had Sailor on a few times. Is there a chance Coinbase doesn't make it through this? I don't see why that would happen. Coinbase has $6 billion in cash, $3 billion in debt, and makes over $1 billion a year. There's literally, that's the thing. And I'm not knocking you, Fred. Everyone's like, Voyager failing, Coinbase. One has nothing to do with the other, you know? Coinbase is a solvent company trading at PE of like 5 to, I don't know, like most tech companies are trading at like 10 times the valuation that Coinbase. So yeah, I don't think Coinbase can blow up.
I don't think it's going to blow up. It's going to be fine. We want it to. We need it to.
That wasn't my best, Colin. It's harder when I have my earplugs in. Let me take those out. That might have been a bad idea. I might have blown some things up. But yeah, harder for me to do my things. I don't know if you're saying I'm fired or that I should get fired. I'm hoping that it's the first one. But yeah, so things are looking bad. And of course, none of this exists in a vacuum, right? So Powell's Fed rate hike plans get jolted by inflation. What does this mean? Well, inflation came in higher on Friday than we expected. I was wrong about that. I was wrong. I was like, yeah, we'll probably get like a 7.9. What do I know? I don't do inflation. They calculate the number however they want, but inflation went up, meaning that this week, Powell, who is going to do a 0.5 rate hike, might actually go 0.75. Markets are saying there's a 50-60% chance now that we get a 0.75 rate hike, which means that we can collectively ride the pain train together. Whew. Not great, man. I can't remember a lot of time we had this much bad news. I mean, because I can't find any good news to share. Oh my God, it's so annoying to scroll. Binance.us accused of misleading investors in class action lawsuit over Terra. So this is welcome to America, where if you lose money on something that you should have researched yourself, you sue the platform where you bought it that had nothing to do with it. Such bullshit. I am very sorry if you lost money on Luna. That is terrible. But everybody screams about decentralization and no regulation until they lose their money. And then they're like, who can I blame and sue? That's what's happening right now. Binance US accused of misleading investors over Terra. What did they do wrong? They listed Terra, right? They let you trade that thing that you wanted to trade, and now that you lost money, you're going to sue them for the losses. So stupid. So stupid. So stupid. It makes my brain hurt. Bitcoin slide leads to unrealized losses for prominent holders. Who do you think they're talking about? Michael Saylor, El Salvador, Elon Musk, Square. None of the big companies that invested in Bitcoin are up. They're all down. This is oh my gosh. Can you sue the casino for dealing the cards? It's exactly right. Fibbo Swanee, genius. That's exactly right. I went into a casino. I knew I could lose money. I understood the risks, but you let me. Anywho, Bitcoin slide leads to unrealized losses for prominent holders. Like whom? Well, I just listed them. El Salvador. Cost basis is $45,000, 2,300 Bitcoin. Michael Saylor, I think his average purchase price is $30,700. He had said before that they would get liquidated around 20,000, I believe, but that there were a lot of things they could do before then to bring that cost basis down. Maybe we're going to have to see them do that. Elon Musk, cost basis 31,620 on 42,000 Bitcoin. Have fun staying poor. Jack Dorsey's Block, formerly Square, which has the lowest average purchase price, holds 8,000 Bitcoin for an unrealized loss of just over 8%, only down 8%. Guess he'll be buying dinner. Smallest loser. When I was in college, we used to go to Atlantic City all the time to play at like the $1, $2, $5 was so expensive. Tables, blackjack. We might have been underage. We might have gone only to the Sands Casino because there was a chance they wouldn't check our IDs. Might have. But the rule when we went there was not whoever won the most, because we'd go in the middle of the night, right? We'd like drive home at like 7 o'clock in the morning. I was in Philly. It was less than an hour away. The rule wasn't whoever wins the most buys McDonald's on the way out. It was whoever loses the least buys McDonald's on the way out. Because even back then, we were smart enough to know that when we walked in a casino, we were probably all going to lose. There was nothing worse than like your friend's down 100, someone's down 75, you're down $43, and you got to go buy $30 worth of McDonald's. Bullshit. Sucks. So yeah, but that's what's happening here. Jack Dorsey is buying the dinner on the next yacht. But it's, I mean, I'm really now, sadly, but interested to see what's going to happen if everyone is forced to puke, you know? So if everyone's forced to puke. And finally, Tron deploys $2 billion from reserves to guard against shorts. I'm not sure what we need right now is more algorithmic stable coins. And I don't know. I don't even want to get into this. You know what? Fuck it. This shit doesn't matter. I don't want to talk about it. Tron's cool. Not dissing Tron, but like, is it even news? Defend the peg. Short squeeze. Cool, man. Cool. And listen, I reached out. I didn't even put the banner up, right? I reached out to Vauld today and I was like, you guys good? Like Celsius is fucked up. They're like, we're good. We're good. You know, they sponsor the stream. I still have my money there. I have my money on Voyager. Got my money on a lot of these platforms. And you know what? Here's the thing. I'm going to tell you guys to use them. I'm going to use them. I think Celsius is a pretty fucked up case right now. Hoping that is not contagion to other ones. You know? Can you sue my dealer for having good shit? No, I think you actually tip your dealer for that. How's Spinning Records going these days? I haven't touched them in a long time, but it feels like I'm going to be a DJ again soon if this shit keeps going. We're going to make it. Guys, listen, I know my vibe. There's sometimes you just got to be more serious. Serious things are happening here, but I do not want you guys to get the impression that you should lose your belief in Bitcoin or in Ethereum or in crypto in general. But we have to give an honest and accurate appraisal of where we're at. And right now we are fucking ourselves. Just the way it is. It'll get unfucked. But it's not great. And we're doing it in the worst macro environment possible. You know, we're playing Russian roulette with a loaded gun. Not like one bullet, two. It's like, oh, I'm going to throw all 6 in there. Yay. It's not great. Yeah. Don't let emotions take the overhand. Emotions will not take the overhand. As I said on Twitter, listen, you're going to see a lot of platforms die. You're going to see a lot of hedge funds die. You're going to see a lot of projects go under. They probably already have, right? And you're going to see a lot of people like myself probably disappear or slow down, which, by the way, if you're an individual right now in this space and you own some stuff, like there's no reason to like be deep down the news shooting myself in the foot because I'm asking you to watch me. But like nothing's going to really change here for a while. Chart's going to do what chart's going to do. News is going to do what it's going to do. But in my position, it's my entire existence here outside of my real life is to provide you guys with information and news. And so I can either, like many people will, and I don't blame them, just kind of disappear, wait a while, or I can double down. Like I just went to Consensus. I spent roughly $1 gajillion to produce this content that I will never get back ever. But I want to make good content. I want to have incredible interviews. I want to present and put my best foot forward. Now, inevitably, like somebody's going to say we're all scamming you and that it's all our fault. But I'm just going to put my foot on the gas, close my eyes and fucking pray, man. I'm about to go so hard because that's the way we roll. I'm not going to ghost you, man. I'm not going to ghost you. Doubling down. Yeah, you guys are my real life, and I do love you guys, but there is a whole other life too. Anyways, guys, that's all I got for you tomorrow. I will, of course, be back tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to do it again. It's going to be great. You guys are going to love it. Seriously, it's going to be great. Let's buckle up. It's a rough ride. Take a deep breath, though. Shit is going to be fine. We've always said this is when you test. It's like, I'm in it for 10 years. And then you feel like you're going to puke and like, you're like, no, I'm done with this shit. This is when your conviction is tested. So zoom out and think about that when you are about to make a really horrible, terrible decision, and don't do it. Love you guys. Thank you for tuning in. I will be back tomorrow and every other day that I'm supposed to be here. Peace.